Even in the city, there's room for a little bit of farm life. A small backyard, a few hens, and a rhythm that's slower than the world just outside our fence. Raising chickens here has taught me that you don't need much to feel connected to the seasons, to your food, and to something real. It's not perfect, it's not always easy, but it's beautiful and more rewarding than I ever imagined. Today I'll show you how even in a neighborhood like this, you can raise chickens, live closer to the land, and find a bit of peace in the everyday. 2 years ago, we started our journey with chickens, something we dreamed about for a long time. When we were looking for a home, we made sure to choose a place where backyard chickens were welcome. We brought the chicks home with so much excitement, thinking we could keep them indoors for a while. It didn't take long to realize that wasn't going to work. Since then, we've learned a lot through trial, error, and more than a few surprises. It hasn't been perfect, but every mistake has taught us something. And through it all, this little backyard flock has brought us more joy than we ever expected. Once our chicks were ready to move outside, which was around June, early June, we decided to buy this igloo cube chicken coop made by Omelette, and we are so glad we went with this decision. We were looking at other coops like from Tractor Supply or Lowe's, and we decided against it because it just didn't make sense. We knew they weren't going to last a long time. We had talked to people that used those types of coops, and it lasted them about 2 seasons. And it just didn't make sense for us to invest so much money on those type of coops. I've heard of people having issues with mites and with mold and all kinds of things that we did not want to deal with. We wanted to make sure that it would be a coop that is easy to maintain and to clean and would last a really long time. So we are so glad we went along with this coop. It took us a few hours to put it together, and it wasn't super difficult. I know that it can be more cost effective to build your own coop, but building our own coop for us was just not an option. First of all, that is not a skill we have. And second of all, Glenn has a full-time job and he is absolutely busy and he cannot dedicate so much time for these kind of projects. So something that was easy to put together is exactly what we needed. There are a few features in this chicken coop that we absolutely love. First of all, it has ventilation, which is critical for the chickens and for their health. They need to be in a place that is well ventilated. So this has been perfect. They have been in this coop for 2 winters, and we haven't had any issues with frostbite, any issues with them getting sick. It has been amazing. Another thing we absolutely love about this is the material that is used for the run. This is so sturdy and it really protects the chickens. And down here, you can't actually really see it because the soil has raised around this coop with all our compost and everything. But down here, there is more of this material that is lining this whole area around the chicken run, and it really protects our chickens from predators. It is absolutely sturdy. Early in the morning last spring, we woke up and it was still a little bit dark, but we saw that there was a fox right here in our yard. Now, mind you, our yard is fenced in, and somehow a fox got in here and he was right here trying to dig his way into the coop, and he couldn't. And he just ran away. We never had any problems with any other predators trying to get in this way. And that is something that we really appreciate about this coop, that is very, very sturdy and very safe. Another thing we love about this coop is the nesting box. Not only is it very easy to access, but it's also very secure, and we are confident that no predator is going to be able to get to it because of the way the clasp is made. You have to push here first and then twist, and you're able to open it that way. This is actually raccoon proof, which is amazing, and we technically haven't had raccoons in our yard, but we've had lots of skunk, a fox, and a woodchuck. Looks like they laid a few eggs today already. The door is also really easy to open, and we can just stand right outside the coop and reach over and open the door, and it is super easy. Now, there are a couple of things that we regret about the choices that we made. When we purchased this coop, we had the option of buying an automatic door with this, but we wanted to save some money, so we decided not to do that. And that is a big regret of mine because I really don't want to be out here opening the door at 5 in the morning during the summertime or coming out here early in the winter days when it's really cold. We just most of the time leave the door open if the weather is nice. So far we haven't had any issues, but we would prefer to have the door automatically open and close so we wouldn't have any issues.
The other thing we do to keep our hens healthy in this chicken coop is that we frequently clean it out. It's very important to keep our hens happy. And so we have to clean that out several times during the summer. And it does become a bit of a challenge sometimes during the winter. But we've kind of got it down now and we figured it out. So what we do is we come alongside the back here and we open up the tray where we are able to clean out some of the chicken droppings. And we will take those and we will put them in our compost pile and we'll mix them together because as they break down, they will bring some great nutrients to the soil that then we spread over the rest of our garden. And so as we take out those droppings, then we'll take out the full panel here and we'll do a full clean on the inside of the coop. We'll take out some of the old wood shavings and we'll replace it with new ones. We'll take out the grill here and we'll clean it out really good, make sure that it's free from any of the chicken droppings, and then we'll put it back together. So during the winter time, it can be a bit of a difficulty because the chicken droppings freeze together and they kind of clump up, and because the chickens are in the coop more, it becomes just a little bit more uncomfortable to clean. It's very cold to come out and to clean it out, to take it all apart, but we did it because it was necessary to give them a good clean area for them to continue to thrive in that cold environment here in Michigan. And so we would do this about every 3 weeks or so, maybe even once a month at times. Usually during the summertime, I need to clean it about every 2 or 3 weeks. We also clean out in the coop and we put new wood shavings in there so that it can be a nice and safe, clean environment for our chickens. The wood shavings really have helped with the odor of the chickens, and we haven't had any problems with them.
So now this brings me to our second regret about the purchase that we made. We decided to opt out of having the tractor wheels to be able to make this a movable coop. One, we didn't think we would need it. And two, we also wanted to save some money by not getting those wheels. And we really regret it because we have actually moved this. And if we had those wheels, we probably would have been able to move it to different parts of the garden. And that would have given the chickens like fresh grass or a fresh area where they could be, instead of being stuck in the same area where after the chickens have been in the same area for a long time, the soil gets kind of matted and kind of gross. So having 7 chickens confined in a small little area just did not work out for us. And they actually would get very mean towards one another and aggressive. I think they were just feeling too cramped in this small run. We originally had this chicken coop in a different part of the garden. And exactly a year ago, we decided to move that chicken coop from that far side of the garden all the way over here. We decided that the chickens needed more room to roam around. Now, this is the run that we chose. Omelette makes lots of different sizes for runs. You can buy really big, you can buy really large runs for the chickens, but this is what we thought was going to be good enough for us. We had this beautiful idea that we were going to have the chickens be out here in the yard when we were out here and just have fun with them. But we quickly learned that that is not how it works. Chickens make a mess in the garden very quickly, and when we were out here working in the garden and the chickens were out, we had to have someone kind of watch them all the time and make sure they're not getting into certain vegetables or making a big mess. And then if they got into the lawn part of our yard or our patio, they would make a mess, they would poop everywhere, and then that just kind of discouraged us from being out here or walking barefoot in the grass because we were just afraid to step on chicken poop. So even though last year, especially in the fall at the end of the season, we let them roam around as much as we could, we knew that come the next spring, we would want to give them a bigger run. And that is why we moved them to this part of the garden and gave them a bigger run.
So moving on to the run, like Laura said, we built this to give them a little bit more space. It was very important for them to be able to have this run area. And what we do is we let them just really flourish and enjoy this area where they can sunbathe, they can scratch, they can peck, they can flap their wings and kind of just get the space they need. And so we built this out of chicken wire and some metal stakes. And what we found out quickly was that we didn't have an enclosure on the top, and a hawk actually came in and got one of our chickens. And so we put a bird netting over the top of it like this to protect our chickens. And since we did that, we've had no more problems. This one's creamy right here. She's my favorite. And they really enjoy like scratching all these things. We put our compost in here, and what we end up doing is we turn it over. So we come inside and we take a shovel and we just turn over the soil to kind of help the process. We put our chicken scraps and our scraps from the garden all in here, and the chickens really do a good job of kind of breaking that down. But there's so much in here that we really feel like we have to come in here and kind of like turn it over and mix it up, because the soil level just continues to raise, and we just want to mix it all in together so that it's not just fresh stuff on the top and the other stuff at the bottom. We want it to get all worked in together so that eventually we can take this and use this in our garden. Some of these chickens really like when I turn this over, because when we get underneath this, we find all the worms and the grubs, and they just come right over. You can see some of them are just coming right over here because they see that I'm turning it over, and they absolutely love that. They kind of get in there and they scratch and they go down.
Even though we're so happy that our chickens have more room over here, we know that this setup over here is less than ideal. We need a better way to access the run. We have a very small opening on one side that we cover with a board so that the chickens won't escape. And that is what we use as a door. But as you can see, it is very small. And with the netting right there, it makes it very tricky for us to get in and out. And because of that, we decided that we want to improve this run for our chickens. Not only are we going to improve the structure of this run, but we are also going to expand the run because we are going to be getting more chickens. Anywhere from 12 to 15 new chickens in a few weeks. So we are excited. We realized that 6 chickens is not enough for our family. We need way more than that. So we will probably have around 20 chickens, and that is why we are going to need a much bigger space. The chicken coop that we have is the perfect size for the 6 chickens or the 7 chickens that we had, but we are going to need to add another coop to this area as well. So we are excited for what is to come, and we are excited to show you the whole process again. Everything starting from chicks. We are going to show you how we set up our brooder, what we feed them and how we take care of them when they're little, how we put their new coop together. We're going to show you how we build this chicken run and just the entire process of expanding our flock. One of the reasons we decided to keep chickens is because we want quality eggs. And we wanted to make sure we have eggs that are not fed any corn or soy. And finding corn-free and soy-free eggs that are free range and organically raised is very difficult for us. And that is why we use this scratch and peck feed that is corn-free and soy-free, and the chickens really enjoy it. It comes in pellet form and the chickens really enjoy it. We also feed our chickens kitchen scraps and any kind of plant matter from our garden. And we still, even though they have their run, we have a lot of space now, we still let them out into the garden every once in a while, and they get to scratch around and eat grubs and worms that they find in the garden. The thought of having chickens in our backyard was a little intimidating at first, but I am so glad we made the decision to do it, even when we felt like we didn't know everything about raising chickens. We learned a lot of things along the way, and we are so excited that we get to go through this entire process again this spring, because having made a lot of mistakes the first time around and learning from our experience only means we are going to do a much better job the second time around. If you've been dreaming of raising backyard chickens, I hope this video shows you that it's not only possible, but deeply rewarding. It doesn't take a farm or a perfect setup, just a little space, a bit of care, and a willingness to learn along the way. I hope you feel inspired to take that first step and to show that even small beginnings can lead to something meaningful. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might be starting their own chicken journey. We'd love to have you along as we keep learning and growing right here in our little homestead. And in the comments, I'd love to know if you are thinking about getting chickens, or if you already have a flock, what's one thing you've learned along the way? I'll see you next time.